Finding Strength podcast. And as you can see, I'm sitting in Matt's seat. This feels great. It's powerful. Like, what did you do? Brought in some energy, didn't you? And now, guess who's in the hot seat?
Mark.
I left your mark. Matt's in the hot seat today. Whoop, whoop. How's it feel?
Great.
Liar.
I love being the person on the other side of the interviewee chair. My favorite thing to do is to go to therapy and have a therapist analyze my every thought and emotion and feeling, and I don't feel vulnerable at all. So yeah.
You're doing great then.
I also use sarcasm and humor as a deflection tool. One of my many strengths.
Well, the reason why we wanted to interview Matt today is because, we want to know who the therapist is. Who's the therapist? Matt Quackenbush. So you're in the hot seat today because we want to know more about you and your therapy. Because he does have a different, what's the word I want to use? Approach to therapy. You're not like normal therapists. And I even tell people will text me and be like, oh, would Matt see my husband or would Matt see this person? And I'm like, here's the thing. Matt will see you if you are ready to put in the work and if you can take directness. Like, he doesn't beat around the bush. You are straight up forward with people. And I think some people have a really hard time with that. Hearing the truth, who doesn't, right? Hearing the truth is really hard sometimes, but you're very direct and you're not going to just come in and sit in his office and chit chat. That's not what it's going to be. It's going to be work. And that, I think, why you've been so successful in your practice is you really push people to work. Mm-hmm. And it's not just talking.
No.
So I guess my first question for you is give us a little background of like how you got into therapy, because that was not where he was headed.
Yeah. So I come from a long line of attorneys, lawyers. Mm-hmm. And when we first met, that was the plan.
What was the plan?
I have a bachelor's degree in political science. I was headed to law school and ready to do that whole deal. And then this is 2008.
Yep.
Yeah.
You even took the LSAT, is that correct?
Oh.
To apply for law school.
I was applying to law schools. I was about ready to get accepted to a couple of law schools.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to get accepted, had my LSAT score, had all this stuff, had the grades, blah, 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 blah. Call my dad. Pops, I'm going to go. You excited? I'm excited.
Be a lawyer.
Yeah. We're going to work together because I was going to go work for my dad. That was our kind of like I always wanted to get back to San Diego because that's where I'm from, right? That's my OG. That's my roots, I guess. And at the time, so I call my dad. I'll never forget this conversation. I'm walking down the street. This is at our house in American Fork. And we're living in Section 8 housing.
I was like, this is not a house.
We are poor. I'm mowing lawns to get through school.
I have
we got
Ezra strapped to me.
Nothing.
Remember that? Picking weeds.
Yeah, man. We worked our butts off.
Hell yeah, we
did.
Yep.
That's a big. You want to know who I am? I freaking work. That's what I do. And that's what to piggyback off what you talked about before. I don't expect people to do anything that I won't do myself. Yes. And in fact, all of the stuff that I teach people to do,
you do it every day.
I practice that. And I've learned what works for me and variations of that work for other people. And that's what I have people do. And the results are amazing. Backing up to 2008.
Phone call
with my dad. Hey, I'm ready to go. He says, are you sure you want to do this? Because I don't know if I'm going to be able to give you a job. And if this is something that you really want to do, it can't be just because you have a job when you get done. And I literally am walking down the street and I stop and I go, oh my gosh. And this was a thing that I would do. I noticed this about myself. And that point was very, very real. I would go through the motions doing the things that I was supposed to do because I felt this strong sense of duty. We've talked about this a lot. This is kind of a sensitive subject for us, actually.
It's not a sensitive subject. It's just you.
Are you sure?
No, it's not.
Go ahead.
You just are really, you're good at showing up. And if there's something that needs to be done, Matt will get it done.
Yeah.
Do you want to get those things done?
No,
Not necessarily.
I don't want to come do podcasting today.
Yeah, he did not.
I just got a whole mess of other stuff that's got to get done that's a little higher on my priority list.
Yeah.
And I was like, but you come and you do it and you
Yep.
show up and you get shit done. And then you go on to the next thing and you go back to the prioritizing and blah, blah, blah. And you get everything. And I've managed, like the thing that I have to tell myself all the time, be patient, Matthew, you will get it done. But at the time, I didn't really understand that about myself. And I just did stuff without a whole lot of thought behind it. Like, this seems like the best course of action. Go. That seems like a great idea. Go, 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 go. And I was always go, 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 going rather than pausing, which is something I've learned to do that's very important. Anyways, that moment of pause gave me this instantaneous moment of self-reflection. And I noticed a little thought show up. Maybe I don't want to do this.
What did you feel? Did you feel something at that moment when your dad said that?
I was a little upset. Like, how dare you? Kind of like this has been the plan all along. But immediately there was a sense of freedom to choose what I wanted to do because this is just what I thought I always needed to do. And now it was like this permission to be like, okay, what do you want to do? And I didn't know what I wanted to do.
No, you didn't.
And so I just said, I didn't say anything to him, but I came to you a little bit later and was like, I don't know if I want to do this. And I remember that did not go over well.
It's just like, what the hell have we been doing? Which was hard. But I will say this, I remember your mom calling me and being like, Brindy, this is the best thing. You do not want Matt to be a lawyer. She didn't want you to be a lawyer either.
No.
Just
because it's 60 hours of work a week and it's crazy freaking intensity.
And you could have done it and you would have been a great lawyer. I know that for a fact. He's really good at arguing. It's half the reason why you're a really good therapist too.
Writing and research.
Yes, yeah. But I just remember her saying like it's a very time consuming job.
Yeah. And I wanted to be a criminal defense attorney.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do what my dad did.
Yeah.
I wanted to do criminal defense. I want to go to defend criminals.
So fitting for one.
Well, I have always had this affinity for the less fortunate. Like I just, even as a little kid, like there's these stories of me as a little kid where I would hang out with the kids at lunch in elementary school and the dudes in the wheelchairs were my homies and we'd play together. And I brought all the other cool kids who thought those kids were weird. I was like, dude, these guys are cool. Come hang out with them. And we'd play with them. And that was kind of like, that's been my thing my whole life. I just, I saw somebody on the street who was, seemingly scary or misunderstood or whatever. And I was curious. I was like, what's that guy's deal? From a little dude, like I was tiny doing this stuff. So it's kind of been a part of my life forever. It's just this innate desire to learn about people and to understand them on a deeper level and to be, I don't know, understanding.
Yeah.
I think.
Do you think it's because you didn't feel understood as a little kid?
Do you want to know a really weird answer?
Yeah, I love it.
I don't think it's just from this life.
Okay. That's not weird. I love that.
People think that that's strange, though.
Well, especially where we live, yeah.
Well, and just in general, like the idea that we've lived past lives is not something that's really super acceptable.
Yeah. We don't definitely, it's not something
socially.
people talk about, yeah.
But I genuinely believe, I mean, I'm an old soul. People
You
tell
are
me this
such an old
all
soul.
the time. All the time. I'm 40 years old, and I, for whatever reason, carry the wisdom of a much older person. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll say stuff sometimes, and I'll just be like, whoa, where'd that come from? I'm serious.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Like, it just comes to you.
And I try to be really humble about it, but I also try to own it because that's just the facts.
Yeah.
I'm a wise person. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I read a lot. That's probably part of it too. But I don't think it's just this life. I think there's more. I think there's something bigger. And I get emotional. I feel really connected to that thing that's bigger.
Yeah.
And I feel a sense of obligation or duty to honor that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Have you always had that sense of feeling to that?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. Always very, as a little boy, I was called sensitive.
Yeah.
And I hated that for a long time. I hated that I was sensitive because
Yeah.
it was too sensitive.
It was used as a negative term rather
Too
than
sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's stories of me crying a lot as a little kid, and my uncle would get really frustrated with me and didn't want to be around me. I remember feeling that. I remember being a lot of energy all the time, very,
Almost
up
too
and
much.
down and too much. That's a big story that I told myself.
Well, and you can feel that as a little kid, right? You can feel the way adults are acting towards you and stuff like that. But how do you feel about that now? What is your perception of that now?
I liked that I got in trouble as a kid. I liked that I was a little naughty.
Me too.
That you do. There's a dark side to me, and that's and studying this amazing, very pivotal, philosopher, but he's a psychologist, Carl Jung. Understanding the concept of the shadow was really that was mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
Just understanding that I have this dark side to me that deserves my attention, that needs to be understood, that is good and motivating. It's not something to be shut down. And that my innate goodness is who I am. And that dark part of the innate goodness isn't bad. In fact, that is my connection to the homeless guy on the street, to the criminal, to the cop who can't stop getting disciplined, to the special ops agent who's killed children.
Yeah. And we all have that, right? Like the light and the dark.
We have that. And
Everybody,
I can see that in other people.
And you can see that in other people, yeah.
And I embrace that part of me. And I try to help other people embrace that part of them because it's not bad. It's primitive.
Yeah.
And that primitive side to us innately wants us to survive. Two parts to that, individually and as a species. And those innate desires for survival individually and as a species can be capitalized on to motivate us to action, to do really amazing, innovative, beautiful, creative, important, and impactful things.
And they're both very different. So it's good to understand both of them. Yeah. So going back to now finding out that you're not going to go to law school, coming and telling your wife this.
That was fun, I'm sure.
How did you figure out then the path that you got on?
So my sister at the time was working at Telos. And Telos is a youth treatment facility, a residential treatment center for boys in Orem. My sister was interning there. She was at BYU, also studying psychology. And she said that I should get a job there. So naturally, I ignored that and went on and mowed lawns. And my beautiful wife applied for me.
Yes, I did. I was like, I am done strapping my baby to me and mowing lawns and picking weeds.
And she was like,
I forgot I did that.
You need a real job.
Not a real job. We just needed money coming in.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough. Well, and school had slowed down, and I'm like kind of going like, what am I going to do? I don't know if I'm going to go to law school. We had a baby.
Wedlock and had to get married. Like our life was a shit show at this point. Let's be honest. And so
I got the job at Telos at this residential treatment center for youth.
So you're saying you're an amazing therapist today because of me?
Definitely.
Because I applied for you?
100%. 100%.
It's so not true.
More than that, though. More of the reason why I'm good at what I do is definitely because of you.
Oh, yeah, because I'm crazy. So I was his first client. You're all welcome.
Yeah. And self-deprecation is something that I'm very familiar with, so I understand it. But the reality is you have amazing light and energy, and you balance me out.
We balance each other, that's for sure.
For sure.
So you get the job at Telos.
I go to Telos, and very quickly I realize, oh shit, I'm good at this. I'm very good at this.
You moved up quickly, too.
I became the director of the residential department.
Within
not very long, a couple of years.
I ran
I ran the residential department there with zero credentials for a long time. And
because you were just naturally gifted with this, and you
I-
had you watching you work there with these boys. You really did
loved it.
amazing work.
I loved it. And I didn't understand the politics behind it.
Yeah.
But one of the things that is definitely a strength of mine as well, especially working organizationally, and the reason why I think I've been so successful on a large scale in these big, massive, multi-million-dollar corporations is because of my political acumen. And I understand the dynamics of politics. And I have a degree in politics.
Yeah.
And I understand the inner workings of psychology, but also the inner psychology of organizations, which is what I think political science really is.
Yeah.
And so understanding those dynamics helped me to kind of navigate my way through this extremely complicated and difficult and it's sometimes corrupt world of youth treatment.
Yeah. There's a lot of money in it.
There's a lot of money and it is corrupt.
Yeah.
And it is corrupt. And I'm glad I don't do youth treatment anymore. And there's a lot of taking advantage of people in vulnerable situations.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that I'm not proud of that happened that would probably be looked at as abusive.
Yeah.
You know, because we would wrestle these kids to the ground, takedowns, and we'd isolate these kids, holds.
Holds, yeah. You had to learn. I remember when you learned how to do the holds, you'd be like, here, let me show you. And you would take me down. I'm like, ow, this is what? You do this to these kids?
And Telos
but you were taught to do that.
Sure. And we tried to be, Telos tried to be really safe in the way they did the holds.
For sure. And you're dealing with difficult kids too.
These kids are crazy, man.
Yeah, like they would run away.
They all have abuse, crazy abuse.
Yeah.
And knowing what I know now, like as you're putting these kids into these holds where they can't get out.
Yeah.
Like, are we further traumatizing these children?
Yeah.
So this is anyway. So we can go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah, that is a rabbit hole.
Long story short.
Yeah,
long story short. I've climbed my way up in this organization. I'm now in my first year. I've worked through. I'm now in grad school. I'm going to become a therapist at this organization at Telos. The administration's all on board. I'm on the administration team. I'm in all the leadership meetings, yada, yada, yada. I'm not on the board of directors, clearly, but I'm in the leadership meetings. And I'm a part of this leadership team, the administration at this organization, multi-million-dollar organization, right? Running this department of over 100 college students for years for these people. And I'm about to do my second year internship there as on the clinical team, right? And they pull me into the office and betray me.
No warning.
No warning.
You just get pulled in the office one day and what happens?
They ask me, so you're done. And I try to ask questions why, and they're very cryptic about it. Still to this day, I kind of don't really know. And they pretended like I should already know. But fuck those guys.
Yeah, that was I get emotional because that was...
Yeah, it was horrible. How they did that to us.
It was horrible.
Yeah. So fuck Telos.
I was pregnant too.
It was horrible.
It was so, oh my gosh, it blindsided. You were slapped in the face.
Yeah. And I've learned stuff about that organization since.
Yeah.
And I know stuff about that organization that could take them down. And if they ever freaking try stuff, so come at me, bro. No, shit went down at that place. It's dark and scary and awful and should not have happened.
Well,
and abuse of children and things like that. And that's not okay. And I'm really, really glad. So as much as I say, fuck Telos, thank you for firing me.
Yeah, no,
because it got me out of that world of youth treatment and I don't have anything to do with it now. And what was wild is I left there and I stumbled into this incredible internship with Cirque Lodge, which is one of the prestige residential treatment centers for adults and drug treatment for adults. And I had a background in substance abuse treatment and stuff like that because of Telos. And my degree was actually going to be in substance abuse treatment and trauma and the specialization. And so I end up at this place and Telos is left behind. And now I'm at Cirque Lodge and I'm getting this like incredible, tutelage from amazing mentors. And I'm working alongside really great therapists, and a great 12-step style organization.
And you're changing as a person.
And I'm changing as a person.
Yeah.
And that a lot of that went down. And so I'm really kind of like reevaluating my own life and what it means to be me and who I am as a person and what it means to be a clinician, yada, yada, yada. And I am working with, very wealthy, famous clients, because that's what Circle Lodge is known for.
Mm-hmm.
And it was wild. I learned a ton.
Yeah.
And then I leave Circle Lodge and I get a job at Recovery Ways, which is another cool organization. Wasn't super happy with the way they were doing stuff, but it was kind of a little more on the, I don't know, the programmatic side was kind of interesting. But it wasn't definitely not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
And I'm working there and I kind of, for whatever reason, make a little bit of a name for myself, I guess. With a name like Quackenbush, it's hard to ignore. And so within the industry...
well, at that point, sorry to interrupt you,
No.
at that point, you were... This is what I mean by like Matt being direct. I don't think people are used to other people being so honest and direct with them. And that's what you were doing with these companies. You were being like, no, that doesn't work. And here's this intern who's like speaking up and being like, no, I think we should make this change, and be like, and this is why. And I think that's why your name started getting thrown around at these other treatment centers, because you were making changes that these companies have done for years. But you weren't afraid to speak up and say, I don't think that works anymore. Let's do this. Let's try.
Because
why not try this?
And my argument was this. Like, I know you guys think you know what you're doing and this is what's worked. I get that. Also, I'm well-read. And here's what I'm learning in school right now. Mm-hmm. Here's the current research. Check out this paper. Check out this one. Check out this one. What do you guys think of this?
Yep.
I think we should make these changes. And they're kind of like, who is this kid?
Exactly. Yeah.
And they make the changes and it makes the organization better.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, well, okay, what else do you think we should do? And I'm like, well, let's try this. That works. Let's try this. That works. And they're like, who is this freaking
exactly?
Dude? And so it's kind of like this rising star in the industry, I guess, kind of, sort of. And then Deer Hollow hears about me through my good friend Sloan, who I'm working with.
Did you go to school with her too?
I did not go to school with Sloan.
I get confused.
No.
But yeah.
She's great.
She is
Sloan
great.
Rampton. Amazing, amazing therapist. Check her out if you guys need a clinician. Sloan Rampton. I would talk about her and her skill set all day long.
Yeah.
She's great. Anyways, and then
Deer Hollow.
Deer Hollow basically kind of like poaches me.
They did. Yeah.
And they pick me up and they put me in Deer Hollow.
Hey, come over here. We need you. Well, because they just started, right? Like, how long were they open before they got you?
It was only a year? And a half,
yeah, I can't remember.
Years,
something
maybe.
like
It was
that.
not very long. Very early.
Yeah.
And they started working with first responders, and that was something I was kind of interested in, more or less, but something that required a skill set that I apparently had, which was being direct and bold. And so I came in there and showed up as myself. And fortunately, they gave Troy and Genevieve and Amy embraced me.
Yep.
And I became a part of that organization, which I'm still a part of today. And it was really fantastic and wonderful and very...
You learned a lot there too.
I learned a ton, especially from Amy. She's maybe the most talented therapist that I've ever worked closely with. And she is as bold as, I mean, you think I'm bold. Amy does not pull punches.
No.
And it was really empowering to watch her do her thing and kick people out of groups and stare down people and be like, you think you fucking know? You don't know. Get out of here.
Yeah.
You, if you want to be here, you'll stay in that chair. If you don't, peace.
Yeah. And how was that for you to see that?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And so I started to do that too. And the clients in these groups loved it.
Yeah.
And they're just like, it's safe here. And we became the gatekeepers for safety in this organization. And then Deer Hollow just took off. And we started making a name for ourselves. And it's been quite the ride over the last 7-8 years, trying to turn this thing into what it is. And it's been really cool. And along the way, I started the podcast.
Yep. With our good friend Bethany.
With Bethany and They Lost Bridie. And I started working with the Brighten a Day Foundation and started private practice. And early on in that private practice journey, I ended up working with families who've lost children. And I often say to people that that's where I have That's been my real school.
Yeah.
I've learned more from those families than I have from anybody else. More than any of the cops or any of the veterans or, special ops guys who've lost their friends and you name it, I've heard it.
Yeah.
I very rarely, I couldn't even tell you the last time I was actually surprised by hearing something, because I've heard so many stories about awfulness and just the horrible side to society and the evils of the malevolent, is what Jordan Peterson calls it, the malevolent element to existence, because there are awful people.
Oh, yeah.
And they are parents.
Yeah.
And they abuse and rape and torture their own children. And those children become adults. And they become functioning members of society or dysfunctional members of society. And they end up in my office. And I use what I've learned from families who've lost children, who are missing one of the most important parts of their life, and what it means to grieve and what love really, really is. I've used that to help these people who've been beaten and abused and raped and tortured by their own family. Because I've worked a lot with incest survivors and things like that as well. And it seems like those two groups of people wouldn't, I guess those multiple groups of people wouldn't really have much overlap. But what I've found is that there's overlap among all groups of people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are. Our innate desire to feel connection, to feel love, and to feel a sense of purpose is our very fuel. And if we can tap into that, you can change everything about your life, no matter what's happened to you.
It's like almost like tapping into that light side and that dark side and understanding both.
The balance
between the two. So what is it like listening to people's stories every day, all day? Like, and you're hearing awful, awful things.
Early on, it was really hard. There's some stories. There's a couple of clients. There's some moments that really stick with me.
Yeah, you being a therapist has changed our lives a lot and made us view
changed
the world
me.
different. And you, 100%.
I'm definitely not the same person I was 10 years ago.
You are not the same person I married. Nope. Which is not a bad thing.
No,
right?
and I think
Isn't
that's
that the whole point, is we're supposed to change and evolve. And
I think I've embraced that change.
yeah.
And I've opened myself up to the possibility of change and become curious about how learning from these people can help me help other people and help myself along the way. And so every person that I sit down with, it becomes school. It's an education opportunity. I'm teaching them, they're teaching me, and it's a conversation. This is not, I'm a therapist, you're my client, let me help you. No, let's be humans talking.
Yeah.
What do you need? Here's what I typically need. What do you need?
Yeah.
What were you missing? Tell me about your life. I want to genuinely understand the worst moment of your life. Tell me about it.
What does that do?
Changes you.
Tell me more. Why? I see emotion. What are you feeling right now?
Sadness. Hurt. Pain. And immense love. Because these people didn't have love. And they don't know what love is. They think they do. But for whatever reason, I have a lot of love and a big heart. That's my sensitivity. And I've learned how to share that with people and show them how to use that heart to make their life better and to make the world around them better in the process. And it's taken a toll on me for sure. It's aged me. I've had my share of setbacks along the way and my own struggles with figuring out how to cope with all that shit that I have to listen to and hear. But it's not. I think the thing that people don't get, and maybe I don't know how to explain this. It's not what they say. It's not what you hear. It's not what I hear. It's what we feel together. And if I'm resistant to that, and if I try to change it or reject it, I don't provide that safe space that allows for the change, the healing.
Yeah.
Because it's got to change on its own. I can't try and force the change, you know? That's what's changed me. It's the feeling. And it's embracing that feeling. And it's understanding that feeling is the feeling.
Well, and what's so cool about it is the feeling, I feel it.
Yeah.
You feel it.
I feel it now.
Ryan feels it. Your clients feel it.
Yeah.
And so then you connect on that. And it's like, oh, you feel that too?
Yeah.
You're really good at that.
Yeah. It's definitely something of a skill that I've developed that I've had for my whole life, for sure, providing like this safe space of non-judgment and curiosity and openness. I've learned how to do that, you know, more, better, or be more open, which is something that you definitely can learn how to do. Less judgmental, more understanding, more compassionate, you know, become that warrior for peace, that bodhisattva that we talk about in Buddhism, because that's what we need. And so that shows up as passion a lot of times for people, the passion for life. And so I carry with me this immense energy. And especially when I like, you know, because you've seen it, like I can turn it on and turn it off.
Yeah.
And I know how to turn it on and when to turn it on. And when I go,
You had to learn to do that.
Definitely.
You learned to do that
through shielding.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about shielding. Yeah.
And you're really good at now being there for your client who's sitting in your seat, and then being able to being there as dad right after. Like you've learned how to take that shield on and off.
Definitely.
And I think another reason why you are the therapist you are today is because when you are with your client, you are 100% with your client. You are not with your client and like other stuff going on in your head. Whatever is going on in Matt's life, he shuts it off. And then when he's in that room with you, it's just you and him. You get all of him. And I think another thing that you provide for your clients is not only do you create safety, but I think a lot of people, one of the biggest things for therapy is we all feel a sense of abandonment. And with Matt, you know you are not going to be abandoned. If you're sitting in a room with you, it's not him who's going to be like, oh, sorry, I can't see you anymore. He's there. He is in it. What are some methods that you actually?
No, that's a great question.
What are all the methods that you are certified and trained in, and then what are the ones that you are your go-tos?
So method number one that I have found to be the most important and most powerful, and might come as a shock to people, but it's group therapy. Yeah.
Well, that's what you're known for.
It is. Yeah. We underestimate the power of group therapy. In residential treatment, you have to understand, right? The world that I come from, residential treatment, the method of treatment, sure, there's models for treatment, but the method of treatment in group therapy or in residential therapy is group therapy. Is
that because of connection?
Because
and feeling like someone can connect with like, oh, feeling pain and they feel pain?
100% of the time, if you sit down in a therapist's office, it's because you're lonely.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm lonely. I'm missing something. Sure, I'm depressed. I'm sad, whatever. I don't feel heard, understood, validated. I'm lonely. I feel so alone that I'm going to go to a stranger and say, hey, will you listen to me for a minute? Now imagine doing that instead of with one person. You do that in a group of people who also are lonely.
How do you create this safety?
Dude, it's amazing.
Matt? That would be so hard.
It's so cool. It's so cool because keep together. Because you have these people who are just so freaking hurt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're so scared. And they look and they see another person and they're like, you're hurt and scared too? He's not. Do you think we should listen to him?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the guy they listen to, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But my method that I've developed over time is there's a lot of education involved. And so I've become more of an educator and a teacher in this group style setting and weaving in therapy models within groups that can really provide some powerful change for people. And what I've learned to do over time as I've developed this is I now bring that to a stage, and I can do that in a room with 50, 100, 200, 300 people and provide that same type of experience. Because what I've learned about therapy, even individual therapy, the thing that's doing the change isn't the fact that I'm listening. It's not the therapy model. It's not this. It's not the other. It's the formula for the experience.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can craft the right formula and create an experience, that creates this change.
The feeling.
To the feeling.
Yeah.
And then the feeling creates the change to the human.
Mm-hmm. That they want to make the change.
And so I'm obsessed with doing this on a large scale.
Yeah.
Because like therapists, they don't really laugh at, but they kind of look at Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
And I wish I could see people's faces right now because they know I love Tony Robbins, especially like my colleagues who laugh at me for
He's amazing.
Dude.
You got to give him his credit. He knows.
He's not just amazing.
No.
He's the man.
Yeah. He knows his shit.
He does what all of us want to do all the time. And he's got research to prove it now. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Wim Hof.
Yeah.
What's he doing?
Yeah.
He doesn't sit in a room with somebody and say, tell me all your problems.
Yeah.
He says, get up.
Yep.
Let's go hike a mountain. Take your shirt off.
Let's go hike.
Let's breathe. Get in the cold.
Yeah.
I'll change you. Let's go.
Yeah.
And they change and they get better and they heal.
And they do it together.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think
There's
I figured
beauty
out.
in that. Yep.
Is that you can't do this alone.
No.
And so people are like trying to like heal themselves.
Yeah.
And we're doing it in this really weird way. Where it's like, I'm going to go sit down with this other person who's a stranger and I'm going to call fucking BetterHelp. I'm rolling my eyes like, can you hear me roll my eyes? Please listen to me, random person from the internet, so that my problems can be better.
It's helped some people.
But okay. BetterHelp has received lawsuit after lawsuit for taking advantage of people.
Yeah.
For misappropriating funds. Go look it up, right? And this is the current answer to our problems in society. No.
No, this is where you get passionate, though.
Because I see people who hurt for a living.
You see people hurt and you genuinely want to help them. And there's other people who see this as a moneymaker. And there's the big difference between an organization and Matt Quackenbush as the therapist. You genuinely see hurt people. And Matt will be full on his schedule and a DM will come in and someone pours out and he just can't not take them because you have to help them because there's the feeling that you get to make the change. And it has nothing to do with money. Nothing. You want people to live their best selves while we have this life experience.
And there is a way to do it that actually creates long-term change.
Yes.
And there are many, many, many ways to do it that are Band-Aids on gaping wounds.
Yeah.
And that is the problem with therapy today.
Yep. I agree.
We are addicted to our problems And I go to my therapist and I talk about my problems. And my therapist says, tell me more about your problems. And they keep me on the hook and I go over and over and over and over and over, right? And this is go ahead. You have a question?
People want to stay in victim mentality.
Yeah, we
They
do.
want their therapist to validate them being a victim.
We want to be validated.
Yep.
Yes.
Validate that
And this
I'm a victim and I'm going to stay in this cycle and I'm going to keep ruminating about this, but I'm going to keep going to my therapist and having them confirm that I am a victim.
I'll tell you right now, I'm never going to get off this friggin' topic. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. And, I'm speaking at larger and larger venues, right? I'm keynoting these big, giant things. I'm going to say the same thing. Watch this right now. Okay. What is the day today? Today is the 29th of April, day before your birthday, 2024.
Whoop.
Okay. They are, if I continue to say this, I will get so much heat for this. I wouldn't be surprised if they come after my license for saying stuff like this.
Okay.
But I don't care.
Yeah, I know you don't care. I know you don't.
I don't.
Yeah.
Because it seems like what I'm saying is that I'm shitting on therapy. I'm not at all. At all. It's the same thing that I did when I went to Cirque. It's the same thing that I did when I went to these other places. I come in and with a very critical eye, I say, hey, here's the way things have been done. I don't know. We need to ask some very hard questions of ourselves. What is this actually creating? Are we creating a sustainability model for therapy? Or are we creating freaking healing for human beings? Those are big questions.
Those are big questions.
And we definitely have a sustainability model for therapy right now.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
One of the fastest, largest growing industries. Corporations all over the place are dumping gobs and gobs of money into this because there are so many sick people.
Yeah.
But I work in an environment, right? And this is why I think what lends to my experience is working with first responders who for generations, decades, have had this same mentality and it hasn't changed. And creating change in that community is extremely difficult. And you have to be bold and you have to be brave and you have to be risky.
Yeah.
And you have to say stuff
hard things.
that's going to piss people off.
Yeah.
And you have to say things to people that are going to make them think. And so I'm saying to my colleagues, think.
I like it.
What are you doing for your patients? We took this Hippocratic Oath thing, right? Do no harm. I am here boldly saying that the repeat style of therapy where we just listen to their problems and don't follow treatment models, because there are treatment models that work, and I will answer your question, right? If we just listen to their problems and validate their emotional feelings and we just keep people stuck in the same cycle over and over and over, how is that not doing harm?
Yeah.
And
And
I don't blame the
you took an
therapists.
oath on that.
I don't blame the therapists.
Yeah.
I went to grad school.
You knew. Yeah.
You don't get taught in grad school a skill set of how to be a
No.
therapist.
Yeah.
You just don't. You have to learn it from other therapists.
Well, what's funny is you got most of your certifications that your modalities that you use not in school.
No, and that's the design, right? You have
Yeah.
to go out and get certified, right?
Yeah.
You have to go out and get trained
Yeah.
and go get these trainings, right? One of the best models out there right now is internal family systems.
Yeah.
It's so popular you can't even get into the trainings because it's so effective.
Name off all the ones that you have right now. You have IFS. You have EMDR. Mind and body bridging.
Body bridging.
That's all I know. Keep going.
Psychodrama.
Psychodrama.
Yeah. Mindfulness.
Mindfulness.
Those are kind of the big ones.
Yeah.
And those are kind of the big ones that I use. And those don't really mean anything to people. So I don't really like to use the modalities when you're going to find a therapist, get a therapist who's trained in some of these modalities.
Yeah.
I've also been trained in cognitive processing therapy, in dialectical behavior therapy. Those are kind of some of the big ones. Mindfulness-based stress reduction, trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy. So I'm not certified I'm certified in mind-body bridging.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I'm actually certified in. The other ones I've been quote unquote trained in.
Yeah.
Some of them you're not supposed to even say freaking trained. You have to say informed because you have to pay the freaking $3,000 bill to go to the thing to learn the thing.
Again, a moneymaker. That's where you have a hard time.
It's frustrating because there has to be a better way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I hope we can find it. And I hope we can work together to come.
That's why we do what we do, right?
It is.
Yeah.
And unapologetically, I am a change agent. Yep. And we have become that change agent. That's the purpose of the podcast. That's why we do what we do. That's why I chose first responders and veterans, this long-standing cultural thing that just needs change, man. These people kill themselves at these astronomical rates because of the culture.
Yeah.
The culture is the problem. So you have to change the culture. And that's not easy to do.
Well, one of the biggest things that we talk about on the podcast a lot is the we over the me. That's a huge thing that we always talk about. And I think that's been a game changer. That's why Matt really likes, I mean, I'm speaking for you. Let me know if I'm wrong. But that's why you really like group therapy, because it's the we over the me. So how does, you just erased your question. I was going to read it. How does the concept of we over me help people turn their pain into purpose?
Love that.
That's a good question. That's from Ryan, guys. That's from our producer. He's got good questions. Your last one was good too. You should put it back up.
Boy.
I wanted to ask that one, if you remember it.
Wait, which one?
The last one, the victim one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was really good.
We kind of answered it. I read it.
Yeah.
Matt steered.
He saw it. Yeah.
You definitely
But yeah, I really like this one. How does the concept of we over me help people turn their pain into purpose?
Yeah.
That's a big one too. Because we can sit and dwell on our pain. We can sit and play the victim, and we can sit and say, this happened to me. This sucks. My life sucks. This is so hard. And just stay in that victim mentality. Or we can change it and say, well, this happened for me. That was a huge, that little spin right there. Just as a game.
Here, do you want me to explain it?
Sure.
Instead of for me, say for we.
For we. That's big.
That is how simple this idea is.
Yeah.
Because what happened to you happened for us if you turn the pain into purpose. Because I have pain, you have pain, he has pain, she has pain, we all have pain.
Yeah.
What are we going to do about it? What's the inherent purpose of pain? So if you really look at just the biology of pain, the brain is, I should also mention out there that I am a wannabe neuroscientist, right?
He really is.
I do have formal training, like collegiate level, graduate level training in neuroscience, but I'm not a neuroscientist. But I love the brain, and I practice what's called neurocounseling, is kind of the hot term, and I teach other therapists how to do neurocounseling.
Well, and you put it in your therapy. Like, people learn how their brains work.
That's called neurocounseling.
Yeah.
That's the term that's used now, is neurocounseling.
Neurocounseling. I love it.
Whatever that means. It just means you learn how the brain works, because your brain, you are a function of your brain.
Yep.
The idea of you is something that exists in your brain. And you have created that idea in your brain, sort of. But really, it's your experience has created that idea in your brain. And what your brain does for you was a couple of things, but the primary objective of your brain is to make sure that you stay alive and you don't die. The method that the brain uses to make sure you don't die is called pain. Right? Mm-hmm. It sends neurological signals to your body saying, ouchie, right? Mom and daddy, tell a little kiddo, that stove is hot. Don't touch that stove. And the kid goes, what's hot?
Yeah.
And the kid goes, what did he just learn?
That it's hot.
But
and
what
pain.
taught him what hot is?
The pain.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So what's the worst thing you could do to your pain? If you want to learn stuff.
Not learn from it.
Worse. Numb it. Because then you can't learn from it.
Yeah.
And this is what I've learned in addiction.
Okay.
What is addiction? It's numbing the pain. And so what do you not get? Information. You don't get education. You don't get knowledge. And you stay stuck in these cycles of suffering, samsara. So the concept of we over me becomes this. My pain can be mine, or it can be our shared experience. The only way my pain can be our shared experience is if I share my painful experience with you. That's vulnerability. And now we have a bond. We have a connection. around this shared pain. Because if I say, hey, here's my pain, what are you going to do? Here's my
I'm
pain.
going to say, here's my pain.
And we both look at each other and we go, oh my gosh.
We're both in pain.
We're in pain together. And in doing that, what did we just do?
We made a connection and then...
We repurposed the pain.
Yeah.
Now the pain isn't just this thing that teaches me what not to do. It's this thing that teaches me what to do, which is share it.
Yeah.
Because now I have this connection around the pain. So when you get together with your friends, what do?
Share your pain.
Share your pain.
Yeah.
And your best friends, the people you love the most, what do you do with them?
Share your pain.
So what's group therapy?
Sharing your pain.
That's it. And the pain is no longer pain, is it? Now it's information.
Yeah.
And it's fueling you. It's purpose. It's energy. It's love.
I
It's
would
this
say it's
compassion
love.
thing
Yeah,
that helps you
compassion.
understand the way other people are and that you're not alone. Back to loneliness.
Yeah.
Most lonely people in the world refuse to share their pain.
Oh.
And this is what therapists want to do. The intention is, come sit down with me, share your pain, and I'll come back to you and say, yes, your pain is valid. But what are you going to do with that pain?
Yeah. Why is it so hard to come in and like it's hard for people to make that appointment? Like I have helped people try and find therapists and they don't call because it just boggles my mind. And I get it because it's like it's putting yourself in a very vulnerable position. You really are like opening up your chest. But aren't you already in a vulnerable position and all that pain and loneliness?
Because the brain's drive to keep you alive relies on, go back to the episode on happiness, certainty first.
Yeah.
I need to stay in certainty and predictability and familiarity in order to stay alive the longest. Doing new things has to be scary and painful. So in order for me to go and make this scary, painful change, right, I have to do the scary, painful thing, which isn't really actually anything other than courage.
Yeah. Well, that's why I always
But it's
say,
not viewed as courage. It's viewed as it's weak to ask for help.
Yeah.
And I can do things on my own. I don't need help and I don't need to go talk to somebody. And I can just, maybe read a self-help book, which most people don't even do anyways, and do these things to make changes. But go read Wim Hof's book. Go read freaking Tony Robbins' stuff. Go read freaking
stuff that's going to give you action.
IFS.
Yeah.
It's going to tell you what
to
do
Yeah.
about your pain.
Well, that's
to
what
do with your pain.
we always talk about, like get comfortable with being uncomfortable because life, you do so many uncomfortable things. So the more that you can get used to that, then the easier it gets to do uncomfortable things. So what would you say to someone who compares their pain to others and thinks their pain isn't worth sharing? They believe their pain wouldn't help the collective.
Oh, I just got the chills. Okay. Yes, great question. Right? Story time. So I'm in group. And I have permission to share this story. I won't share whose it is or whatever, but this is an absolutely incredible person who was my client and became my friend, who has taught me so much about life. I can't even express how grateful, excuse me, I am for this person. We're sitting in group. And one of the things you got to do in group is you got to share, right? And this person shares their story. Incest, extreme abuse, almost killed by their mother multiple times, right? Told they're trash, left outside, naked in the dark. Just like the hurt that this person carries with them is palpable. And another person in the group says to this person who just got done sharing all of their pain, who's, by the way, the first person one, has been in group for a while, been in treatment for a while, has a bunch of experience. Other person who's about to say this thing that a lot of people say in group is person two, is new. Says to the group, I don't feel like I deserve to be here. My story is nothing like their story.
Comparison.
I don't have as much pain as they do. This person stands up. How dare you? How dare you minimize yourself and make me worse than I really am?
Oh, wow. It's very powerful.
Changes you. I am not my worst moment.
No.
I'm not my best moment. I'm the culmination of all of them. And limiting somebody to just their pain and what's happened to them is a tragedy. Because how we respond to that pain and how we've survived it and overcome it and what we choose to do with it more than the pain itself. It's how we respond to the feeling that makes the feeling mean anything. That was a big moment.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm taking that one in.
Powerful moment. Powerful, powerful, powerful.
That's why you love group.
Oh. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's a gift.
So why isn't their group therapy not at like a treatment center?
So I'm trying to create. That's one of the things I'm trying to do right now, right? Like we're opening this ketamine treatment center here in the next
couple months,
hopefully up here.
There's a lot of T's and I's you gotta
Lehigh.
cross.
Yeah, it's taken a while. We're closer than we've ever been. The facility's getting ready to go. We're creating programs. We're creating systems. And I've created a model that's unique that I don't know if anybody else is doing it. Usually ketamine therapy, ketamine assisted psychotherapy is you go to a ketamine session and you meet with an individual therapist to process that ketamine session. Some people do smaller doses and process the session with the therapist while they're on the ketamine. Our model is going to be very different. I'm following the best of the best recommended treatment model, which is 6 treatment sessions, upping the dosage each week, as far as like the ketamine practice goes, so that you're having a full dissociative experience that grows in intensity each week over a 6-week period. And the psychotherapy that is going to be accompanying what is called integration alongside the ketamine administration sessions is going to be group therapy. And I will be running those groups.
Whoop, whoop. So
Yeah.
if you want to try Matt's one of his groups, that would be a place to come in and give it a shot.
Yeah, I am very confident that this is going to be a game changer for the ketamine,
Yeah.
really psychedelic therapy world. Fortunately, group therapy is something that comes very naturally to me, and I train other therapists on how to do it, and I have for a long time. And that's beneficial. I also envision somewhere down the line, well, not somewhere down the line, soon, hopefully with maybe fall, but probably early next year, because I don't have enough to do already. Doing some groups, doing some trainings for therapists, because we have a space now available to us where we can do trainings. Thanks, Jordan. For therapists, provide some CEUs and teach mind-body bridging and things like that to therapists, so that we can kind of continue to move this forward. But I'm not stopping anytime soon. Let's go.
Yeah, you're
Right?
not.
I know. I'm freaking still in school, man.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna continue learning. I'm gonna continue to freaking do this thing and help the world and make it a better place, because why not?
What else are we going to do?
Watch TV? Fuck that.
I know.
Boring.
It's just kind of been our mission to,
Let's go.
change the world of what we can change. Obviously, I think people get scared of this idea of like, well, I can't do what that person does. No, you can't. But you can do what you can do. And it doesn't have to be this, oh, I have to change this whole big like city. Or no, your community within your circle. That's what matters. That's where you can make the change.
Yeah.
And so that's the focus that we're on, is where we're at right now is making the change of what's in our ability, what's within our reach. It's not this global thing that we're trying to do, but I just love that we are on this mission to make any type of change. And it's been really fun to do it with you.
It's a blast.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It's not easy.
It's a challenge.
It is a challenge, but I'd
Some
rather
days
it
it's
be
more
this
challenging than
challenge.
others.
Yeah.
Yesterday was not the easiest.
No.
Raising 4 kids along the way is not easy, but I could
Mhm.
not be more grateful to have you as my person, partner, lover, just this amazing light-giving human being who's next to me, even though sometimes I'm an asshole and I say awful, ignorant things. That's not me. That's just my hurt little
It's your hurt little boy.
boy.
And with a suitcase getting ready to leave.
Yeah, he's pissed off.
Yeah. But that's why I'm
And
here.
but it's not,
I love him.
and I love you. And this
Yeah.
it's been such a cool journey to be able to do this. It's
It has
really,
been
really
cool.
amazing. And thank you to all the people who've supported. I'll be selfish for a minute here. Supported me along the way. I can't name everybody. It's just this incredible journey, and the last time I did this, it was the 4th episode ever on this, and Bethany was the one asking the questions. And you can go back and listen to it. You can hear my growth. It's
a huge
a lot.
growth. Big difference. Yeah.
Back then I was still kind of flirting with like, oh, do I leave the church? Do I not? We didn't even really touch on it now. And now I'm like, yeah, that's
You're open
long
book
gone.
now. We're not as closed off anymore.
And I think a lot of that has come from watching these people
hmm
and sitting down across from people and hearing all of the pain and watching them grow and
Well, doing the hard thing, right? They're doing the hard thing. They're putting in the work, and then you see this growth, and then you see them thrive. I think that's where it got me. Like seeing people thrive, I'm like, I want that, but I have to do that.
grossly underestimate our strength and potential.
Yes, we do. I
Grossly
agree. Yeah.
underestimate.
Yeah.
And watching these people who come from fucking nothing,
hmm
literally nothing, and their parents are actively working against them, abusing them, raping them, maiming them, hurting them, tying them up with freaking dog collars around their neck, making them eat freaking dog food. You guys, these are the stories I've heard about these people. And they're sitting across from me and they're adults and they're trying to raise kids and trying to be kind and good and compassionate. And I just go, I'm in awe.
Yeah.
I'm in awe at the human potential for resilience.
Yeah. That's
You
right.
limit yourself. You limit yourself. I do.
Yep.
I know I do. So maybe, which is one of my absolute favorite words, maybe today you'll give yourself permission to be a little less limited than you were yesterday, and the next day more, and the next day more, so that eventually we can embrace our limitless potential.
I love that. Well, and if you want to see more of Matt, we're having an event July 27th with Mason Sawyer from the 1090 podcast. Both of them are going to be speaking. And so if you want to get a little more taste of how Matt does his therapy style, come check us out. We'll have an Eventbrite up soon.
It'll be out by the time this podcast is out.
Oh, it probably will be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be out.
So
Check out-
what's the promo code? Remind me.
Slapshot Regatta.
Slapshot Regatta.
For
And that will get you
50%
50% off. So please sign up. Come see us. I'll be there. Ryan will be there. Matt will be there. Mason will be there.
Yeah,
We're going to have a lot of people there.
And
It's going
check
to be really
out
cool.
Finding Strength social media. Just search up Finding Strength Podcast,
Yep.
finding-strength.com. And also search up the 1090 and you'll be able to find all that stuff. You can also reach out to us directly,
Yeah.
DMs, things like that.
Just search Matt Quackenbush and you'll find Instagram, Facebook,
Yeah.
everything. So anything else you want to add?
I love you.
I love you too, babe. Thanks for being as passionate and as sensitive as you are, because I was also known as the crybaby. Let's do this together.
Crying on freaking
We're gonna cry
Podcast.
all the way out to the end of this life experience.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Finding Strength podcast is sponsored by Avantacool.
Avantacool.
Avantacool. It's a fun word to say.
It is a fun word to say. What is Avantacool, Matt?
Avantacool sells cold plunges. Avantacool sells infrared saunas. Check out Avantacool at avantacool.com. If you use the code STRENGTH24, you will get a discount of 25% off any Avantacool products. How amazing is that?
That's a good discount. It
It
really
is.
is.
Do you like our cold plunge?
I love it.
It's nice, huh?
It is really nice.
great.
Stays clean.
Stays
it's
clean.
perfect. Whatever temperature I want it to be at, I can set that, and it's great.
We love it.
Go
Worth
check 'em out.
every penny. Check them out. Avantacool.com.